Okay ladies, today we're gonna do a quick tutorial for our tri-top pant set. So the first thing we're gonna do after downloading our pattern from Etsy, we're going to want to print it. When we print, it is very important to go to settings and change it to actual size and then hit print. Once you do that and it comes out your printer, we will then assemble our pattern and cut it out. So after we print it, it will look like this. And I do apologize because this pattern is over 30 pages long. I do not digitize the pattern. This is how I received it back. So this is what we're gonna have to work with. So the first thing I would say is the text box is on page 20. You always want to test out your text box first to make sure that you printed your pattern on the right settings. So we'll see here 2 by 2. So that should be 2 inches by 2 inches. And it is. So that means that we have printed this correctly. And the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together and I'm just going to cut that excess off, just that one side. So once we cut those sides off, we're going to start piecing our pattern together. May need to do this on the floor because like I said, unfortunately this thing is 30 pages long and I'm very sorry about that. I'm going to work on getting that fixed, and once I do, I will post it and I will send everybody an updated file, but for now, we're gonna make it work. So you're just gonna go along and you're gonna piece them together. Also on page 32, there's a pattern assembly guide, and you will find a sizing scale on page 4 and 8. So this is super helpful just to see how it goes. So we're doing 4 across. So a helpful tip when assembling your pattern, do the rows first and then add each row when you're done together, if that makes sense. So as you can see, this is a huge printout and it's literally 38 pages long. I have the top over here. And I am sorry for that, but in order to not have a seam up the middle of the front and back, this is necessary. So after you've assembled your entire pattern, what you're going to want to look at is this over here. We already tested our inch box. That was perfect. So now we're going to figure out what size we want. These are the line indicators per size. So let's see, that's 4X. You would cut along the 4X line. XX small, you would cut all the way around on the XX small line. And if you come to page 4 and 8, you have your size chart. So that way you can figure out if you want to make it extra small, 4X, and so on and so forth. So our next step is to cut out our size on our desired line. And I'm going to go for a standard small. So a couple of tricks when you're working with a pattern that prints out this big. I like to simply just quickly take a highlighter and just quickly go around just to keep my eyes focused on the right spot. But I also wanted to show you guys another trick. Say you have a customer and they are small, but they're tall. They're measuring for length at a large. All you're gonna want to do is find what your extra large line or your large line is. If my camera would focus. So that's our large line. So as you can see, I've highlighted to small. All I would do if my customer was getting a custom order and she was a small, but she needed it longer, all I would do is bring this line down to the large and right back up. And then boom, you added length to your pattern. And I do this for a lot of things. Say your customer has a BBL, her legs are skinny, but her hips are bigger. I would stay on my small line, and as I got towards the hip, I would just gradually bring it out to the large line and bring it back into small. That's a little trick I like to give my people. Now that we've cut it out, you should have 3 pieces. The front panel, which we're gonna cut 1. The top to the bra part, we're only gonna cut 1 of those. And our back panel, again, we're only gonna cut 1. The seam allowance is included in this pattern, so you don't have to worry about adjusting that. And if you're working with 2-way stretch fabric, you wanna make sure that your stretch is going across the body. 4-way stretch, it stretches up and down, so you should be good. So now that we have our pieces cut out, we're gonna wanna put our front and back together, right sides touching. So the first thing we're gonna wanna sew is this point all the way down to this point. When that is completed, the next points will be this point all the way down to this point, and I'll show you what that looks like on the paper. You're gonna connect the front and the back from this point all the way down to that point, and again from this hip point all the way down to there. Now that we have sewn our seam from there and from here to there, we're gonna wanna sew up our middle seam. So now that we've sewn the pants together, you should be looking at something like this. Now we do have this piece. So the last touches would be to sew our trimming on. And I'm gonna use my cover stitch and my binding attachment to do this. And I'm gonna walk you guys through that part. When I'm cutting my strips to use my binding attachment on my cover stitch, I always go with a 1.5 inch. And I'm gonna cut a few of these, make sure they're extra long. So the first two things that we're going to trim are going to be the insides of our bra pieces, the insides. So this is the one that's not connected yet, so I'm just gonna do the inside of this one first. Let's put that in there. And if you don't have a binder or a cover stitch machine to do binding, send me a message and we'll figure out a different way for you to do trimming. There are different options. This is just the one that I like to use. So there's my first one. And now we're gonna wanna do the inside of the one on your outfit. So from here to there. Like I said, I've been cutting my strips at 1.5 inches. So that's what that should look like. So after we have done that, our next step is going to be from the back around. So this is what you'll see when you're looking at your back. I did them in 2 different colors so you can tell the difference. The back of my outfit is black. I'm going to start my edging from here all the way around up till here. And you want to make sure that your pieces are long enough so that your binding comes off of this for a tie. Okay, so here we go.
Mom, what's our zip code?
06704. So from my back side, I'm going to start from this point. I know this video is not the best. I'm sorry. I'm a mom. I have my kids running around, you know, like most of us. But we're going to get this done regardless.
This question.
I'm in the middle of a video for my patterns. What's up?
So basically, I'm trying to put my cash in the thing, and I already saved it on the front, and it says it says pick up.
You must look at your card information. Did you put your card information in correct? Okay, did you go into your Cash app and copy the card information from there? Because that should be the valid one. Sorry, guys. Okay, so after we do that, we should have something like this. We're going to want to cut that excess off. So after that is cut off, you should be looking at this. This is the front boob part, and this is the back. We want to attach a binding to that, but we want to make sure that we have a tie or tail that comes off this end, but also a tail that comes off that end. Okay. So like I said, we're going to add, so this is the front part, the part that covers the boob that's attached to the outfit. We want a tail, then sew all the way to this point and another tail. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my tail, and that's just what I call it. And you want to make sure it's long enough so the person can tie this around their neck. And that should be good. So I'm going to go from the necktie down. And when you get to this point, you want to keep sewing because this is going to be the back strap. And that's what that should look like. And we're almost done. So now to the next part. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my tail. And that's just what I call it. And you want to make sure it's long enough so the person can tie this around their neck. And that should be good. So I'm going to go from the necktie down. And when you get to this point, you want to keep sewing because this is going to be the back strap. And that's what that should look like. And we're almost done. So now to the next part. So our next step is going to be adding that strap to the bra piece that's not attached. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from the bottom right here all the way up and making sure you have a tail. So we are going to start from the bottom. We're going to make sure we have a tail. Be very careful when you're doing this. As you can see, I didn't get my point all the way in there, but we're going to make do with that. So after we have that neck strap on there, we're going to want to take this over to our regular sewing machine. And we're going to want to fold this under and make a channel for our strap to go in. Just so now we're going to take our bra piece that's not attached to our jumper, and we're going to make a channel to pull that string through. or that strap through, I should say. So I use a straight stitch for this. Put it in there. My back stitch. Most people switch it around, but what I can do is I can feel where the edge is. And I just make sure you're not doing it too close to the edge. You need room for your strap to go through. Just like you would make any other bikini top. And we're getting close, y'all. We're getting close. So the next thing you're gonna wanna do is feed your strap through there. And once you feed the strap through the channel, voila, you now have our tri-top jumpsuit. As always, ladies, if you need extra help, I'm always willing to help. You can message me, you can call me, reach out on Etsy, reach out on Facebook. I answer as soon as I see the message, and I'll be happy to help.